Yeah, let's do that. You turn the chat off.
Well, I kind of can't see. Okay, I'm not going to touch any buttons because somehow, somebody, nothing is working. All right. Hello, hello, everybody. We got Barb here, Kim, Zandra, Melody, Linda, Terry, Anne, Mary, Lilac, Norma, Kathy, Candy, Sandra, Yolanda, Charlotte, Barbara, um, where am I at? Lisa, Brenda, Melster, Tony, Brenda, Sheila, Barbara, two Barbaras, Bernadine, Judy, Kat, Linda, Tony, Carissa, Jeannie, Sheila, Lori. Hello, everybody. I did not grab a microphone today, so you'll just have to hear me from right here. So, hello, everybody. Tiffany here. Welcome to my Quilting Life, the bed series. We are hanging out here in the bedroom, hand sewing today for Sew Sunday. So, I'm sewing on a Sunday, and I hope to inspire you guys to sew from a Sunday no matter what place you're sitting at, whether it be in bed or at your sewing machine. So, happy Mother's Day, everybody. Hopefully, everybody's having a lovely day. It is 100 degrees here today in Havasu. So it's hot. Nope, it's 100. Exactly 100. It's hot outside for most people. Me, it doesn't bother me, but everybody else it does.
Yeah.
Oh man, I got a tingle. So I'm just gonna sit here and hand sew today while we hang out. Literally, hand sewing. And I made sure that the camera was low enough so that you guys could watch me hand sew while we hang out. And the comments are going super fast, so Scott will just read me questions or whatever, while we're.
Okay, I just want to know how you're doing.
How am I doing? I am in a little bit of pain today. My leg is irritating me, but I have a feeling it's just because this dumb brace that I'm stuck wearing for a few weeks, it's like pressing against my leg and it's just irritating me. Very irritating me. So other than that, it's just making my leg hurt a little bit from the pressure of the brace itself. So yeah, I'm okay though. I'm getting used to hanging out in bed. I shouldn't be getting used to hanging out in bed. I should be, up and moving around, but unfortunately, I can't. So this is the next best thing is to sit here and I have been binge watching TV and movies with Scott, and we just been watching a lot of TV and movies. So, yeah, that's what we're doing while I hand sew today. And I'm working on my hand sewing project, which is just ugly 4 patches of scrap fabric all hooked together in rows of 10, and I'm making 12 rows of 10 4 patches. And that will be a quilt, but I have not made it to the part where I sew rows together yet. I'm making the rows. I haven't made it to the part of sewing the rows together. I'm making the rows now. So I haven't got that far on my hand sewing project.
What are you sewing?
I just said what I'm sewing. So I'm sewing 4 patches by hand in bed. And no, I do not wear whatchamacallit. What's the word for it? Thimble. I do not wear a thimble. I just poke my fingers a bazillion times because I rock the needle when I sew.
The person asked what's the drawing next to you, but I don't know what drawing.
The drawing next to me is what you're seeing behind me, the spray paint on the wall. That is how Scott proposed to me.
Oh.
It says, "Marry me" on the wall. That's the only thing that has not been painted over in this house.
Are you using a running stitch?
Yes, a running stitch.
Are you planning on doing skullover quilting while healing?
I cannot quilt skullover while healing because I can't stand at the long arm. Nope, no quilting. If I ever get to the point of quilting this, which I highly doubt I will while I'm in bed this time around, but if I ever do get to the point of quilting, this will be the project that I hand quilt. Because this will be the only project that I have made 100% by hand. Well, minus cutting the squares. I did those with a rotary cutter, not with scissors.
You go behind stitch you just finished to make it stronger?
Yep, I go right back over the whole thing one more time to make things stronger. Way, and then I restitch the opposite direction. This is a quilt that's going to get used for all this wonderful being stuck in bed stuff that I have over the years. I, get stuck in bed here and there, so this will be my I'm stuck in bed quilt. And it definitely needs to be sewn very good. So I'm making sure all of my stitches are good.
Can we move the sharp stuff, the scissors and the whatever?
There's needles and stuff here too.
Yeah, well, I will move that. I will move that. I will move that. I'm putting them right here. In the camera. This is not in the camera.
He doesn't want to be up here.
He wants
you
to
want
be
to say
his
hi?
5 minutes of fame.
Say hi, Thumper.
He likes his
Hey.
5 minutes of fame.
You want to say hi? Say hi to your fans? Huh? Huh? Say hi to your fans. No? There. You can see what he does when he gets his favorite spot scratched.
Oh, look at that big baby.
All 17 of him. Huh. Huh. All right. There you go. Go away.
Yes, he's leaving now.
He did not want to be on me today.
No.
He likes my bed because my bed goes up down.
Here's all your stuff again, honey.
Electric adjustable frame, and he'll lay on the end of the bed when I adjust the foot of the bed down, and he'll watch it go down or he'll watch it come back up again. He likes that. Is it quite interesting?
Have you made a kaleidoscope block quilt?
Kaleidoscope block quilt. No, I have not. No, Thumper, you cannot have this. There's fresh needles.
He just wants to sniff at it. He's not going to lamp it.
Oh, I know.
It's something new and different. It's in Daddy's spot. He doesn't know what to think of that. He says that's not that spot.
That's not where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, he says that's Daddy's spot.
Yeah, he's being curious at my sewing stuff. Yeah, I keep a tub in here of squares for sewing this project together. And I'm tying this off the only way I know how. Just in case you guys were wondering. I don't know how to do any specialty stitches when it comes to hand sewing. There they are. There it is. And look, there it is, sewn on. My matching, though, is amazing with this hand sewing. All of my seams are quite the beautifully nested.
What size
With hand
squares
sew-
you sewing?
Hold on, I'll tell you right now because I don't remember off the top of my head. They are 3.5 inch. This is my lovely bin with all of my. They're 3.5 inch squares. Next piece. This is the only time I ever pin anything is when I sew like this, or when I paper piece, or little stuff.
He's been bad at Daddy now.
Such a weird cat. But then I think
so Sundays he's out there then.
I think on all kitties are weird cats. I pull an arm's length of thread off. And then in the mail the other day, opened some threaders. And this comes quite in handy because I, for the life of me, cannot thread a needle very well. So this thing is helping.
Have you seen the red muscle card for legit kits?
Yes, I've seen all the legit kits.
So I'm going to put a link in for legit.
Scott put a link in for legit kits. Yes, I've seen all of their stuff. I probably see it way before you guys do. Because I'm an affiliate with them. Down and freaks out and jumps. We tried that. He could care less. Turned around and he like sniffed at it, and yeah, we recorded it too. And it wasn't a very good video because guess what? He didn't do nothing. He just sat there. He sniffed at it for a second and walked away.
What is the quilt on your bed like? Is it your favorite?
I don't have a quilt on my bed. It's too hot.
Okay, but when you do?
When I do, if you see over here in this big stack, I rotate between this quilt right here. I can't tell because the screen has whatever. There's a quilt right there. And then I rotate between my birthday quilt, which is over on the ladder, but this quilt is one season quilt, and then the quilt ladder has my birthday quilt. I rotate between those two because they're the lightest weight quilts that I have. And remember, we only have summer and summer. So, you know.
Oh, we have spring and summer.
Okay, spring and
summer and fall.
Or summer and fall, yeah. So I don't put heavy quilts on my bed. I do have some really nice ones I made for my bed, but I don't use them because I have a cat and they're black. You know, they're made with black fabric, and I do not want cat hair all woven into my quilts. I'm really picky about cat hair in my bedding. Like really picky. So
did you ever think about leaving them in an embroidery machine so long?
An embroidery machine so long? I don't even really know how to use my embroidery machine, so long would be nope. Unless we just made like blocks or something from our embroidery machines, but I don't know how to do in the hoop stuff or any of that kind of stuff. I've not learned all that yet.
Tags.
I know how to make tags, that's it. That's all I know how to do.
What's the difference of half square triangles and flying geese?
Flying geese are a form of a half square triangle. You can hook two half square triangles together and get a flying geese. But the difference is one is a rectangle and the other two are squares, one finished. The cat's attacking Scott, or Scott's attacking the cat, one or the other.
Do you have a video where you make the labels?
I
don't know if we ever.
I have a video of binding that I've made labels while what I was binding, because I usually attach them before the binding. So I've done it in a few videos where I've made labels, binding videos. I don't know if I've done it since I've had the embroidery machine though, because I was using my monogramming on my little brother machine before I got the embroidery machine.
I'm putting a square on point. Do I use the same size square to cut in half for the triangles?
No, you do not. There is a formula. You can find it online for on point. You do not use the same size square as your squares to cut in half. There's a formula that you use, so that way you can have your cuts will be on the straight grain on the outer side and the bias across it, or else you will have a very stretchy quilt. So don't do that. You do not want to do that. Not a good idea. So there's a formula for on point online. Just look it up, Google on point formula, and it'll give you a chart. You can even put on point chart, and it'll give you a chart with a list of all sorts of size blocks and the size side setting triangles and corner setting triangles that you would need to cut for it. Usually it's bigger. So like on a 10.5-inch square, your side setting triangles are cut from like a 14-inch square on the diagonal twice. And then your corners will be like 9.5 or something like that. That way you have straight grain around the whole entire quilt.
You have a video thing right there. You won't let go.
Like, kind of can't turn the
I
camera
know,
over
I'm
there.
just saying. You won't let go. He has a desperate.
The cat and Scott are playing. Oh. This is a very concentrating kind of thing. Although when I'm watching TV and hand sewing, I'm usually watch TV and I just feel for the poking in my finger with the rocking that I do. So like my stitch is just in, pop it up, in, pop it up, in. Oops, going too far. Those are like really wide stitches. I just use my fingernail to push in, and I straighten it out, and I repeat. I push it back a little bit, tip it up, use my fingernail as the stopper 2 times, and pull it through. I found this to be the easiest way to hand stitch. I guess you don't need to know any fancy stitches to be able to do this. You know, I think it's a pretty easy thing to do. You just need the patience to sit and do this. That's the thing. And I don't normally have this kind of patience.
Do you wax your thread?
Yes.
You do? You wax the thread?
Thread wax.
I didn't know there was such a thing. Okay.
Yes. Yes, I do.
Tell them tonight's like a Q&A.
Yeah, tonight's a Q&A. You guys could ask questions or whatever instead of just sitting here to the side of me while I'm staring at my hand sewing. Gives me something to talk about because it's hard to come up with something to talk about while I'm hand sewing. I really don't want to talk about health because then that's all I talk about, and I don't want to talk about all those other things.
Do you find one thread better than another?
When hand sewing,
Yes.
do I find so far all the threads I've used have been kind of sucky. Right now I'm trying to finish off the spool of Masterpiece by Signature, or Superior Threads, sorry, Superior Threads Masterpiece. Right.
And what does waxing the thread do?
It just helps it glide through the fabric better, waxing it. So I'll show you right now. Gotta tie this off first. All right, there's another one sewn on.
You could thank the people that were using the link to my sewing machines. That's fun. Yeah.
I think I need to go to this opposite side. No, I'll just leave that one alone. We want one that faces this way. Look at that. Trying to make sure I don't have 2 of the same squares in the same area or the same colors.
I'm thinking of digitizing a stitch and flip quilt block for the embroidery machine. Which block do you think would be good?
For a stitch and flip quilt block, I have no idea. Digitizing for the embroidery machine. I don't know. I don't know how to do any of that kind of stuff, so I don't know. I don't have that creativity. Stitch and flip quilt block. Any quilt block would be stitch and flip, a square and a square, and half square triangles, and so on.
If you use the wax, then do you need to use a special thread?
No. So here we are. I'm going to put the wax between this right here in this slot, just like this. And all I do is hold it here and pull it through. Pull my arm's length amount. Pop it out. And then thread it through the needle, which I need to use the threader for because, again, it's easier for me to use the threader. So that's just how I use it. I just slide it through. It just puts a little coat of wax on it and it helps it slide through the fabric better. I don't know if there's any added benefits besides sliding it, being able to slide it through the fabric better.
Do you judge the seam allowance or do you measure it somehow?
Nope, I judge it. I've been sewing a 1/4 inch seam for quite a while now, so I'm pretty good at judging where the 1/4 inch seam should be. Oh, come on.
What do we know about the sewing machine that went into the shop?
I don't know nothing about my sewing machine that's at the fixer at the moment. I just know it's back at the fixer. So if you guys could see all these 1/4 inch seams back here, it's all just judged. You could see. Seems to be pretty good so far. I think I've got the hang of it.
When you were hand stitching the top together, have you thought of what you're going to do to finish the outside top? How are you going to stitch it all together?
No, I have not figured that out yet. I just know that I have to sew the rows together, and that part I need to figure out. I know how I'm going to quilt it. I'm going to quilt it with big stitch quilting because I actually really like the look of big stitch quilting. Knew that was going to happen.
What's your favorite tourist attraction near you?
My favorite tourist attraction near me is none.
Yeah, we don't have none.
We have the London Bridge.
Grand Canyon, I guess.
The
You
Grand
consider that
Canyon
close?
is kind of close. It's a couple hours away. Got stuck on the... I hate when that happens. Oh well, I'm going to sew with it anyway.
How big do you intend to make this quilt? Is it going to be a lap quilt or a regular
It's
quilt?
just a lap size. This will be a lap size quilt.
Have you ever tried to attach the binding while the quilt is on the long arm?
Yes, I have attached binding while the quilt is on the long arm, but I've answered a few questions on this one. I don't like the look of binding that is attached to the front and then wrapped around to the back. I actually think that looks not my look. It's not my look. I don't like it. So I prefer to attach binding to the back of the quilt and then bring it around to the front. That's just my own preferred method, so I don't attach it on a long arm, but I have done it, and I could care less about doing it that way.
How big are the stitches in the quilting?
In this,
Yeah, I guess.
the piecing of it, I don't know, they're centimeters, I don't know, millimeters apart. They're pretty big. Give me a second, I'll show you. I'm not a very tight stitcher. I'm not very consistent either. Well, sort of. I'm trying to be. That's why I stitch twice. I stitch one way and then come back the other direction.
I've been trying to make the half hexy braid quilt. Anyone make one yet, or have any tips? Have you ever done
Half hexy braid? I have not done a half hexy braid. I've done hexies, but I have not done a half hexy braid. So no, I don't have an answer for that one. I've done braid quilts, but not hexy braids.
What's the point formula? Person missed it.
For on point, you just Google on point chart or on point formula, and it should come up with the how to determine, or like me, you just use a chart. I measure for mine because I make up my own stuff all the time, so I measure out everything to do it. I don't do the actual math on a calculator or anything, but I do measure things out when I do mine. I measure the distance between point to point, and then I add to that, and then
Where can you see Alexa's art?
Alexa has her own little LinkedIn link. I don't know how to what. It might still be Alexa. I'm not sure.
I don't think it's still on here.
Oh, it might have. I might have deleted it already. She used to have her own code to see her artwork, but
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know her links offhand.
Do you have any plans for sewing another legit quilt?
Not right now. The last I told them was in the future. I'm got a lot of things I need to catch up on, and since this whole surgery thing and stuff, I have even more things to catch up on once I'm back to my room in there. Oh man, that wasn't supposed to happen. I shall fix that on the way back.
How can you hand sew without a thimble?
I'm not pushing it into my fingers, so it's easy to hand sew without the thimble.
Here's one they always ask. What is my job?
Scott's job is sitting over there and looking cute.
Seriously, tell him what I do.
No, he does all the computery stuff. He does all the shopping. He does all the everything. So when you see a certain background fabric or something we had to look for or whatever, he's the one that does it. When the machine needs to be fixed, he's the one that makes the phone calls and takes the machine down. He's the one that puts the commercials into the videos. He's the one that does all that kind of stuff. All the computery stuff that I just don't want to do.
What, you just work?
I just work.
Else.
He does everything else.
The cooking, the cleaning.
Cooking, cleaning.
The banking, the credit card.
Yeah, he keeps up with everything else. That's his job.
I run life outside of the quilting.
Yeah. Because it would never get done if I was left to it. But I don't do nothing. I just sew.
In other words, I do everything else.
Yep. And at this time, he's just sitting there and looking pretty.
No, I'm not. I'm typing.
And looking pretty.
I'm answering questions. And reading you questions. Do you know of a pretty design to use to quilt a Dresden plate quilt?
I have a series of videos on ways that you can quilt a Dresden plate. Speaking of Dresdens, ready? Scott, say hi to the camera. There's one right there even. That's my second favorite block, is a Dresden plate. I have made multitudes of Dresden plates. So there's a whole video series on quilting the Dresden plates for ideas. And you can make more things from what I've done, obviously. Mine are just examples of things you can do. I have like 2 more rows to sew together, I think. Bless you. One edge to the other edge of a queen. So I have 2 more rows of 10 left to sew. And I put them in piles of 10 to make it easier on myself.
Tell Ann to share it on the group. And I'll put a link in for the group.
Facebook, you could always email me. So you can So that thread is orange on that block because I've used all different colors of thread making this.
Yes, our internet is terrible. Tell me no.
Yes, our internet is terrible. We know. I don't know. The last couple days has been even worse. Ever since before my surgery, that day that it kept cutting out, it's been horrible.
Well, it's pretty bad.
Oh, is it? Is it really cutting out today? I haven't seen this screen cut out yet, though.
I know. It's weird. That screen seems to be fine, but yeah, this one over here is terrible.
It seems to be working fine on my end. Oh, it switched to 5G. That's probably why.
Well, it should have been on that all along.
Lost everything now. No, it doesn't work good on it. That's the problem.
Oh.
Yeah, that cuts out.
My phone doesn't connect to our internet in the bedroom. You're in the bedroom now. You're not in the quilt room.
Is it working? Is it working?
I don't know. It's working. Still here. You're still on.
All right. Hopefully it's still working, guys. I don't know what to say. The last couple weeks have been nothing but internet problems.
We are getting a new internet company in town eventually.
Yeah, we're waiting for the new internet company to come to. They can hear you. You know, it makes it easier instead of me repeating myself. And I just got to tangle threading the needle. That's not good.
I understand it's better now.
Hopefully it's working. I don't know why. A lot of people are still saying it's pixelated. Yes, Gwen, there's RV parks near us. Lots of them. Lots of them, because this is a snowbird visitation town. So lots of people come from all over in the cold states.
How many pieces have you hand sewn today?
4. Now I'm doing a single instead of a double stitch with just a single strand of thread instead of doubling it because I lost my length in thread. So I've been doing that too. Like when I get a thread rip or something, I'll single the thread out instead. But I still go back the other direction, so it keeps me from having to worry about it being a tough enough stitch or not. All right, here we go. That's not a 1/4 of an inch. That's a 1/4 of an inch. I'm pretty sure some people do that. They just do a single amount of thread instead of doubling it. And I double it here and there.
Tell them how much you walk.
I walk right now.
Yeah, they have you been able to get up and walk?
Yes, I can get up and go to the bathroom. I can get up and go outside. I can get up, go to the kitchen.
Can you use a walker?
I have a walker for in the house, so I just use a regular walker that has wheels. I have a wheeled walker with brakes and everything that I've had forever, and I've used during multiple MS episodes. So I have that for in the house so that I'm not tracking in outside dirt in from outside in and out, you know. And then I have crutches for when I go outside. But yes, I have been getting up and moving around. I can only put 50% of weight on my leg, but I haven't even been able to do that. I've only been I'm about 30% right now of weight bearing on my own leg. The doctor said that I could do 50%, but I can feel that I can, the pain wise, I can feel it. So I'm about 30% right now of weight bearing.
Do you backstitch every now and again?
Yes, I backstitch right here at the junction of two pieces, actually. Other than that, I don't the rest of the way because I go back the opposite direction again. I can't say that I enjoy this, but I can't say that I don't enjoy hand sewing.
You just like the juki.
I just like sewing with my juki.
You sew each seam twice?
Yep, each seam gets sewn twice. Yep, that's probably what's taking me so long with this quilt, is each seam being sewn twice.
Do you sew the seams open?
No, I don't sew them open. They're either one side or the other. They're pressed to one side or the other. Nope. Yeah, I definitely don't want this quilt to fall apart. I want it to be a nicely sewn together quilt.
Is Becca's juki the same as yours?
Yes, Becca's juki is the TL 2010Q.
How long have you been working on this quilt?
Since 2020, I started this quilt. Yeah, I started this quilt in 2020 when I was sick with, well, everyone else in the world had something else, the big C word. I had valley fever, so I was really, really sick. And I was in bed and I couldn't breathe, and I was taking breathing treatments and so on and so forth, and got pneumonia several times. And I still came on and did my videos, sort of, because I couldn't breathe. And so I decided to start a hand sewing project, figuring all the times I was in and out of the hospital with pneumonia, I needed something to do. So I started hand sewing. I figured this would be the only quilt that I ever hand sew. And so far it is the only thing that I've ever hand sewed, and I haven't sewn much by hand except for this. Now I have two big tangles. Let's see if I can't.
What kind of thread do you hand sew with?
I hand sew with cotton thread. It's right here. Superior Thread Masterpiece Thread. But that's just because that's the most recent spool. I got a tangle, so I have to yank.
What's the longest time you've spent on a quilt?
The longest time I spent on a quilt was 6 months. But that's because I was also sick with valley fever while making it. I usually don't spend much time on quilts. And then the only reason why Sculliver took so long is because I did it as a sew-along. So if I wouldn't have done it as a sew-along, it probably would have been like a 20-day worth of quilt making, piecing. Because that's a lot of work to just sit and paper piece if you don't spread it out.
I have an industrial Juki, the DDL 8700. The threads in the bobbin breaks all the time. Any suggestions how to solve it?
Your bobbin tension could be messed up. I would say solve the bobbin tension, or maybe it's the kind of thread you're using. I don't know, because I just got an industrial and mine is actually for thicker weights anyway, so I'm not sure about, industrial thread. The best person to ask for that would be my friend Eric over at Treasure Heart Creations. He has the regular sewing industrial sewing machine, and he would be the perfect person to ask because he has one of those machines. And Scott has put a link to his channel in the chat. He definitely would know what could cause tension issues because he has one of those kind of machines.
Streamlabs?
No, Streamlabs is a bot that runs in the background that takes care of the commands. When you see Tiffany's Quilting Life chat, that's me. That's Scott, I should say. I already broke one, so I need another one already. Scott was asking why I needed these needle threaders, and I was saying because they work great. He thought that that I can use my little hook ones, but you can't for hand sewing. And the reason why there's so many of them is because they break kind of easily. And I just broke one.
Streamlabs is just micro-linking.
Yep, Streamlabs pops up only for links. He gives it a code or a moderator, one of my moderators that are in blue with the little wrench. Give the Streambot a code, and the code pop up. The Streambot will pop up with the link to that code. So if you type in explanation friends, it'll give you the codes for all of my friends, which are people on my channel that have their own channels. Okay, sewing another one. This one is getting doubled thread because the other way tangled too much. Yes, I did. All right, here we go. This is kind of a tough fabric. I got a really thick one next to a really thin fabric.
Well, that's where the thimble would come in, huh?
Yep.
Pushing on. say beeswax will help with it getting tangled.
Actually, sometimes the wax helps it tangle more.
What type of quilt are you hand piecing?
Just a quilt of squares. It's just a scrappy square quilt. Not much to it, just 4 patches. I could have done it all by machine and then hand quilted it, but my goal was to have said and have completed, said that I have completed a whole entire quilt by hand. So this is my goal and this is what I'm doing. And I only work on it when I'm stuck in bed.
Don't your eyes get tired?
My eyes do get tired quite easily. I start getting that double blinky feeling and everything. It's so annoying. But I have nothing else to entertain you all with today. So today's entertainment is hand sewing.
And Q&A.
And Q&A.
Do you
ask questions.
Do you ever do stamped or count cross stitch?
No, I don't know. I don't do cross stitch. I'm not really into cross stitch. I'm not into hand embroidery either, or any of that. Yeah, I've done a, I don't think it was cross stitch, I think it was hand embroidery. It was a little one though. It looked like that cross stitch stuff that I've seen Becca and Teresa Louise use, but I've only done one little project, and I was 18 years old, and I made a little case for Alexa when she was a baby. It was like the lid, part of the lid. It was a little kit that I bought because I needed something to do when I was pregnant with her. And sorry if I turned all your machines on just now by saying my daughter's name.
Oh. What's your dream vacation?
My dream vacation is to go to Hawaii on a cruise ship and go to all the islands.
I put just a honeymoon all up.
The honeymoon that me and Scott have never had. That's our dream vacation. I really want to go to like all sorts of countries, but I need to be in better health. So my hip is the first part of getting into better health. I need to be able to walk longer periods, and I need to be able to sleep other places other than my own bed. There's a lot of things I need to learn how to do before I adventure into other countries.
Yeah, the Vegas
where I'm so far away from home.
The Vegas trip killed you, all that walking.
Yeah, the walking did, but I did good sleeping away from home. There's a lot of stitching. Definitely makes you go cross-eyed after a while. I can get pretty far too on this needle rocking thing. Okay, I got that much in there. And before you guys ask, no, I have not tried English paper piecing. I have a couple little English paper piecing kits, and I have the little glue stuff. I just need to cut some 2-inch squares, I think. I don't even know. But I have a bunch of little hexies to make a pot holder or something. I don't even know. Enough to make a small project.
What kind of stitch are you doing?
Just a straight I forgot what it was called already. Just a straight stitch. Running stitch, that's the word.
Yep, they're all coming on that.
Just a running stitch.
Teresa says you need an electric scooter.
Yeah, I do. If my leg doesn't get any better after this and my walking is not improved, then That'll probably be the next thing I get in the future for anything I ever go on long trips or anything. I'll be one of those people who have a little tow hitch on the back of my car, and it'll have a little electric scooter on the back on one of those little tray things.
Oh, gosh.
Scott's face. Oh gosh. I do tend to, when we go to Walmart and stuff, when I have leg problems, I use the little scooters there, or when we go to the regular grocery store at Smith's and stuff, I use the little automatic scooters. Haven't had to go to the store though since I've been healing this time around.
You get around Smith's quite well.
Yeah.
Without it.
No, I meant when I'm having like an MS attack or something, and I
Okay.
need the electric scooter. Another one down. All it is 4 patches. That's it. I just keep attaching one right after the other. And I'm also making sure that my seams are going in opposite directions when I attach them. I'm actually pinning when I nest the seam. I'm doing it all the right way. At least as best as I possibly can. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 blocks sewn since I've been on camera. Guess that's not bad for however long I've been on here now. How long have I been on here, Mr. Scotty?
53 minutes. Bonnie Hunter, she would be proud of you. One lady said.
Who would be proud of me?
Bonnie Hunter.
Oh, yeah.
One lady said you need a scooter with a sticker that says Tiffany's Quilting Life Ride.
Or this is my other fast machine.
Yeah, you could make sewing machine sounds, and another lady said boop 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 boop.
Yep. Or put a sticker of a sewing machine on it and put, I'd rather be driving, and then an arrow pointing at a sewing machine. I actually do have a scooter though, an actual scooter that can drive on the road. Like a Vespa type thing. My thread was stuck to me. Sorry. Probably looked like I was having some kind of spaz attack.
Did you injure your leg, or is it MS related?
No, I tore my labrum and impinged with the ball in the socket. I had impingement syndrome and a torn labrum.
Which is a tendon.
Which is the tendon or ligament, whatever you want to call it, that holds the hip joint in place. It's the cushion for the hip joint that creates a suction cup to keep the hip ball in the socket. Mine was torn extensively, actually. So it could have been. He thinks it could have been an old tear from when I was a gymnast, because if you guys didn't know, I was a gymnast growing up and a dancer. When I got cut from gymnastics, I became a dancer, and it's like cheer dance, you know, like I did gymnastics still, but in a cheerleading dancing kind of thing, and I did competitions and stuff. Well, I could have tore it then, and then over the years made it worse, because I didn't fall like most people, and I'm not an athlete now to have had it happen to me recently. So it could have been an old tear that over time has gotten worse. But the last couple years, I had been feeling severe hip pain and wondering why. And then the last 2 years, it had spread to my groin and was making it hurt every step I took. Every time I, would do a squat or any kind of exercise or anything, it was starting to hurt really, really bad. And I was wondering why. All the getting up and down out of my chair in the quilt room and all that was starting to cause extreme amounts of pain. So I told the doctor, I said, this is not arthritis pain. I need an MRI. And he found out it was a tear. So he says, well, you're a good candidate to get it fixed. And I said, good, I want it fixed.
Did you have a spinal tap to tell you it was MS?
Yes, I had spinal tap when I found out I had MS.
Okay, what tips would you give a beginner on making a tiny quilt? How do you plan your pattern?
I don't plan my pattern. I just sew the little tiny squares together for a tiny quilt. I would say just use all your little pieces of fabric and start sewing them. Make half square triangles, make, flying geese, make all sorts of stuff, and then just put it all together. If you have a block in mind, then get everything prepped for that specific block. None of my mini quilts have been planned. I just kind of throw them together. I just have fun with it, honestly. And they're always the scraps from another quilt. Most of my mini quilts are just the leftover pieces that are really tiny from other quilts. I don't go out of my way and make a specific block or whatever. Yeah, I definitely enjoy my tiny piecing. But I wouldn't do it from hand. I would never tiny piece by hand. That is all machine. But I'm pretty sure if you were crazy enough to tiny piece all little tiny pieces together by hand, then good for you, because there's no way I'd ever do that.
When does Thumper get his teeth out?
The 7th is his appointment, but we're trying to find a cheaper place because it's kind of almost, it's doubled in price. Over doubled in price. It's almost tripled in price. Since the last time when we were gonna just go ahead and do it, we should have did it then, but Thumper's going to live a long time, so we need to get it done.
You hope the poor feller needs some teeth, huh, Thumper?
Yep.
You need to get him some dentures.
Cat dentures. Just kidding. If they made cat dentures, that would be funny. It'd be like that meme of a dog with dentures in its mouth. There's a meme. It's funny.
I don't think I've ever seen it. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a dog with, I don't know if it puts humans' dentures in its mouth or what, and they caught it at just the right moment, but yeah, dog with dentures.
Funny. That would be funny. Tips for using light fleece as a backing on a top?
Light fleece as a backing on a top? What? Read that again?
Tips for using light fleece as a backing on a top? Question mark.
If you're using it to make your quilt light fleece, you don't need batting or anything. I would just
She
say...
means the backing for a quilt top. So just as light fleece as a backing.
Yeah, you can use light fleece as a backing. All right, there's 4. Turn it this way because this piece, see, like I said, it's starting to be repeats. This piece is the same as this piece. So instead of putting it on this end, I'm going to put it on this end.
Can you mix cotton and flannel?
You can mix cotton and flannel. You can mix whatever you want. you don't have to make a quilt out of 100% cotton or only cotton or only flannel or only this or only that. My first few quilts were made from sheets, and the second few quilts, were made from sheets mixed with gingham, which is polyester blend usually, and or gingham mixed with jersey, and sheets and curtains, old sheets and curtains, I put into my first few quilts. So you can make a quilt out of whatever you want. You can make a quilt out of anything.
Are you doing a 1/4" seam allowance?
Yes, I am doing a 1/4" seam allowance. Oh, look at that. I was able to thread it without the needle threader. It's a miracle. I think I'm going to sew
If you ever
one
go to
more.
Hawaii, you going to visit all the fabric stores?
Yeah. I will visit fabric stores and all sorts of stuff. I get little video clips of Hawaii all the time, though, because my sister lives in Hawaii. She lives on Honolulu, in downtown Honolulu, or what everyone refers to as Chinatown. At least there, I guess, is what they refer to it. Just like there's, a Chinatown in New York or something. And she lives like on a 32nd floor of a big, huge building. So every time she and I talk on the phone, it's like in the background. It sounds really windy, but that's only because she's higher up in the sky on her balcony.
Kind of thread are you using?
I'm using Superior Thread Masterpiece.
It's
It's
just a cotton thread, too.
just a cotton thread, yes.
I'm not sure what exactly she mentioned on the brand.
Nope. After this spool is done, I just got some in the mail of Coates and Clark hand piecing thread. I hate that it doesn't focus. There we go. Right there. So I got that as soon as this masterpiece spool is gone, because I have a feeling this masterpiece spool will go quick once I start sewing these rows together and assembling the quilt top.
You ever use cotton wrapped polyester thread?
Cotton wrapped polyester thread, yes, I've used that on my Juki actually. I've also used yeah, that's it. I've used it, yes. I've used lots of different threads. Over the years, I have bought tons of different brands and styles of thread.
Have you been planning anything for all of your Tula that you just got?
Yep, my big, huge Tula butterfly quilt. That's what I'm going to be making with it, is the Tula butterfly pattern. But that is a TBD sew along, because that's going to be done with Eric and I with Treasure Heart Creations. We just haven't, because I'm healing and stuff, we haven't discussed all the specs and stuff of what we're going to be doing as a collab of sewing it together.
What quilt patterns would you recommend if a beginner wants to experiment with historical quilts?
Patterns? I don't know any historical. Try the 4-star general. I just did that. There's a thing. That's a quilt pattern that you can buy. But there is tons if you look up online. I Google everything, okay, guys? I'm a Googleaholic. I like to play on Google. If you Google historic quilt blocks and stuff, you can actually find the charts of the old quilt blocks as well as their math measurements for the cuts to make all sorts of different size blocks from that block. You can find all the charts and everything. You can find different quilt layouts, all that for free on Google. It takes you to websites that have people that have posted it or blogged it or whatever. So anytime you need an idea for something like that, so if you want to do a quilt with all of the old railroad quilt blocks, you know, from the Underground Railroad, there is a website specifically for quilt blocks of the Underground Railroad, and they all have the math measurements and stuff and everything. Yep. That's one of the websites you could use for that kind of stuff. Hi, Becca. Happy Mother's Day to all of those that are joining or here tonight that are mothers. And happy Fur Baby Mommy Day to all those who just have fur babies only. Because I know there are a few of you here.
Have you tried hand applique?
Nope, I don't want to do hand applique. Could care less about hand applique. I don't need to do any of that. This is the only hand project I will ever do. You guys will never be subjected to this ever again when this is complete.
You like going fast with the machine.
I have to have a sewing machine. This is just, although I could still sew this pretty quick, I'm 100% a sewing machine girl. This is just too monotonous for me, I guess. I don't know. There's no fun. I'm sitting in one spot. My eyes get blurry. That never happens when I'm sitting at the sewing machine. I have so many different things to focus on. You know, this is a one-time project. No more hand stuff after this. I mean, I've hand stitched tags on. You know, I've taught myself how to do a blanket stitch so that I can do tags if I need to hand stitch them on because I forgot to do it by machine. Other than that, I never hand sew. I don't even fix, if somebody's clothing rips, like mine or Scott's or any of our family members, I fix it all by machine. I don't bother with any hand sewing of anything. I just take it to the Juki and sew it back together. Even stuffed animals. The kids would bring stuffed animals to me, and guess what? I sewed them by machine. No hand stitching. If I couldn't scrunch the darn thing down, it wasn't getting fixed.
Yep.
Because it was all done by machine. The seam ripped in one of my pairs of pants a while back, and I did not, and my jeans, and I did not sew that together by hand. I took it to the sewing machine and sewed my seam back together on my jeans. I definitely do not like hand sewing. But I'm doing it, and I'm getting it done, and someday it'll be finished.
Connie says it must be driving you up the wall having to go so slow. But I should be making zooming noises in the background to make it better.
There we go. There's another piece I've done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've made 8. I put 8 blocks together today. I'm so done. Yeah, it definitely is not something that I love doing, for sure. I could find better things to do with my time. Alright, I gotta put all these needles in something before they get stepped on or...
Do you double your thread where you tie your knots on each thread instead of tying a knot in both threads? It's supposed
No.
to cut down on tangling.
No, I tie a knot both threads. Yep. And sometimes I only single thread it. So some of this project has been single threaded sewn, some has not. It's just whatever I was doing at that moment. So, ooh. I gotta move my leg a little bit.
Ask them if they have any questions.
Anybody have any questions?
Q&A.
Today's definitely a Q&A kind of day. Since I'm stuck right here, nowhere else to go, nowhere else to be. And I can't see the chat anyway. There's 403 of you here. My goodness. Anyway, so any questions, Scotty? My screen is not catching up. It just does what it does. Yep.
Any tips for fussy cutting? Hate to waste fabric.
Don't fussy cut. Sorry. I know that's a sarcastic answer, but I hate to waste fabric too, so I don't fussy cut. And if I actually need to fussy cut something, the leftover fabrics I tend to use towards something else. So just if you have to fussy cut something and you're getting that same thing from several different areas, all that leftover fabric, chop it down into usable sizes and then use it to make something else. But I never really fussy cut anything unless it's for a bag, and then I still use those leftover scraps towards something else. So
how's your daughter doing in Tennessee?
the one in Tennessee is doing good. She messaged me for Mother's Day today. And then my two kids that live here in town, they just brought me things, you know.
If I wanted to make a quilt out of my mother's scarves, what could I back them with?
Scarves or see-through? I wouldn't make a quilt out of see-through scarves. Yeah, I don't know how you would make a quilt out of scarves. That one you'd have to look up online and see. Google it. A quilt made of scarves. Maybe it's even cooler than the quilt made of ties. Probably.
When you're able to use your juki again when it's finally back from the shop, what's the first thing you want to sew or do?
The first thing I'm going to sew when I get my juki back is, I don't know. I don't have any plans. I have to make a video for you guys once I'm able to sew again. I got to film a whole entire video to make a king-size quilt for everybody.
I've seen videos on crumb quilting. Have you ever done a video on this?
Yes, I've done crumb quilts, string quilts, scrap quilts. Yes. They're really older videos though, like super older videos. So beware of the video quality. I will have to make more in the future, but right now I got to get all the things I need to get done before I start making other videos, if it makes any sense.
Driving you crazy not getting to machine sew?
Yes, it's driving me crazy not being able to sit. And then the funny thing is I can move my foot, but I'm not supposed to sit in the chair, like in an upright chair like that for too long, because my leg is only supposed to be at a certain angle at a certain pressure for so long. Like right now I need to actually get up and move because it's starting to, whatever. My feet are lifted. I have a adjustable bed frame, so my feet are lifted, but I need to move it, like get up and move it. So yeah, it's killing me not to be able to sit and sew because I can't sit and do that.
How many quilts do you typically long arm per week?
One. I typically long arm one quilt per week, maybe two. It depends.
On what you're doing.
On what I'm doing, yeah. I don't get a lot of jobs. I do in the winter, like right before, at the end of the summer, before winter time starts. That's when the long arm jobs usually come in because everybody wants the quilts ready for Christmas or winter time. But in the summertime, I really don't get many quilts in. And the summertime is usually when I take advantage of quilting my own quilts, which I'm highly backed up on because before I had my surgery, I counted my quilts for you guys. There was like 35 hanging in the closet. That doesn't count all the quilts that I don't have hanging in the closet because I do have quite a few tops that just sit in drawers that haven't been looked at in years.
Would you use heavy duty material to make a quilt?
Like I said earlier, you can use whatever you want to make a quilt. So if you have heavy duty material, I wouldn't go any thicker than like duck, which they call cotton duck or whatever. I don't know why they call it duck. I would not make a quilt out of canvas. I would not make a quilt out of indoor outdoor canvasy type fabric. No. But flannels, and I've seen people make quilts just their top, and they sell the quilt top kits actually for making like cuddle quilts out of cuddle fabric. The top and the back is all cuddle fabric. So, and those are heavier. But I would not make anything out of canvas or indoor outdoor furniture type fabric. That would be too heavy, like way too heavy.
Okay, learning to quilt with the Juki, TL 2010Q. What needle size do you use, and you find it not so easy to keep the speed and movement steady or even? Any suggestions?
I use a 9014 always. I never really change the needle size out on the Juki. I just use a 9014 for everything because all I ever do is piece. But if I had a free motion quilt too, I would use the 9014 as well. And do I find it what? Going
Do you find
fast?
it not so easy to keep my speed and movement steady or even? Any suggestions?
Suggestions to keep your movements. Well, I would say
Movement
start
and
out
speed.
slow. Get used to going a specific speed first to keep it steady and get used to that steady hand and everything, and then start speeding yourself up. I would not just go pedal to the metal like I sew. Don't just get a Juki and say, "Oh, I'm going to sew like Tiffany right away," and expect you to have even straight seams, even with a seam guide. You need to start with a consistent speed till you're used to it. I sew pedal to the metal because I've been doing it for 6 years on that machine, so I'm kind of used to it. But as a beginner, I would start out slower. Make sure that you're starting to keep everything even and aligned and steady, and then speed it up as you're getting used to it. Definitely is a machine to get used to. And that's not just with the Juki. There's other machines that you can buy, like the Brother PQ 1500. That one also goes faster. And then the Genome, I don't even know the number of that one, but there's quite a few machines that go fast like the Juki. I would say get used to them first before you just throw your foot down on the pedal and call it a day like I do.
When you start back to sewing, do you think you'll be able to use the sewing bar on your new machine?
The knee bar, I'm kind of iffy on that one on my new industrial machine because that's a really tight bar. I think at first what I'm going to do is try the leg turning thing. I watched a video of a lady that uses her right or her left knee on the knee bar, and she just turns her chair so she has the knee bar in between her legs instead of to the outside of her right leg, and she actually just turns her body in the chair to turn her left knee into it to lift the presser foot. So I might have to get used to that motion until my leg is fully healed and I can use that pressure to pop my hip joint this way to the sides, because I can't do that right now, and I won't be able to for a while because physical therapy is going to be more than 12 weeks. So I'm going to be in physical therapy for quite some time.
How long have you been quilting?
I've been quilting for a little, at 7 years now, pretty much. I started in 2015, 20, the end of 2015 or beginning of 2016. I don't remember exactly, but that's about 7 years.
Denim quilt ideas.
Denim quilt. I have not actually made a denim quilt. So I would just say square idea wise from me, I would just say squares. I would not try to make half square triangles out of denim. I have seen denim quilts that were crazy quilts. So they just had a bunch of different colors of pant legs and stuff. The lady chopped them all up and then she sewed them all together with decorative stitches, really fancy like, and it looked really awesome. I liked that look. But yeah, I wouldn't do anything more than a squares, just 5-inch squares, honestly. I don't have any ideas for denim because it's heavy. It's heavyweight. Besides, what is it called? Rag quilting it, so that way when you do it, clip after the seams, you clip them like a rag quilt, and then you get fluffiness like when you rip your jeans, that fraying thing that happens. Yeah. That's the other thing I've seen done. And they're like sheets, not quilts, because nobody backs them. I've seen them just the jeans.
Have you ever used glide while free motioning on the Juki? The 2010Q?
Yes, I've used glide to free motion quilt on the 2010Q. I've used lots of thread to free motion quilt
do
on
you
the.
sew to the needle break, sending you change the needle? What?
I am a lazy person about changing my needle, but I don't sew until the needle breaks. I sew until the needle isn't very pokey and I notice that it's starting to tear my fabric. I definitely will change it. If it's tearing fabric, then I know it's been a long time. I also change the needle when I realize it's been a long time because I said it was a long time. Like, when did I change it? Well, let's go 6 months videos back. Oh, hey, yeah, I should change it now. Yep. All right, guys. I'm going to get off of here because I need to get up and move my body. I am feeling a little on the stiff side now. So thank you guys all for hanging out on Mother's Day with me and Scott, and obviously not on camera. But thank you guys all for hanging out in bed. And Thumper, yes, he's at the end of the bed. And hopefully you enjoy the rest of your Mother's Day, and all of you gave your mommy a hug if you can. And if you can't and you got children, give your children hugs. And that's all I got. Thank you guys for hanging out, and I'll see you Wednesday. I have a video coming out. Stay tuned for that. And then I'll be back next Sunday. Guess from where? Right here in this very bed. I'll see you guys. Bye.